From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD PrimeTime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. It is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, and let's go ahead and get this thing started. And man, fresh out the gym. That's the right place to be coming up out of is the gym. And make sure and see, this is somebody who actually goes in the gym and works out. So I know you got in a good workout. Family, so you know what you call it. Hopefully, you didn't get hit on too much. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But let's go ahead and jump into our first topic in hand, and that's going to be this. This is actually going to be something pretty fun. And let's go ahead and talk about the NBA Finals, Game 5, number 8 Heat, down 1-3 in the series tonight. You have the Nuggets up 3-1. Very close to going ahead and wrapping up the NBA championship tonight. And a lot of people I know are very excited about that as well, too, because they'll be able to cash out their tickets that they probably already put together of the Nuggets winning in 5 games. And then you also have the Jokic MVP that was literally like free money in a sense, you know, even though Murray still had a dynamic game in Game 3 that pretty much ended this series. I'm gonna keep it real. When they do a back-to-back 30-point triple double on you, you got two guys who hit you for that. That's video game stuff, man, and it's really hard to come back from because what do you have to really stop that? And then the next game come out. You had something for Murray, but Murray kind of messed himself up because he was playing so hard that he had one of the worst floor burns you could ever see on somebody's hand in a usual NBA game. They probably would have sat him out for a game or two. But he went and he was decent. But Aaron Gordon was the reason why they went ahead and won their next game because he went ahead and just said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and show why they gave up all these pieces for me. And, I was somebody who was a top player in Orlando. I was their go-to. So I need to get back to being a go-to guy tonight. And since they're not going to stick me the way that I used to be stuck, then I can go ahead and take advantage of this. And Aaron Gordon actually channeled what got him to the NBA. Aaron Gordon was always a scrape player. He's always a guy that you're not going to have to make a play for. And he literally is one of the hardest workers I've ever seen on a basketball court when he's playing at his absolute best, when you're not asking him to be the superstar of the team. And he absolutely had delivered, and that's what put these guys over the top to put them in position to win this championship tonight. Miami, great story. It was fun while it lasted. But I think this is the end of the road. And I'm telling you, they're going to have to let it go because Jimmy Butler, I think, just got tired. Bam, exceptional player. I think that he had a coming out party, to be honest with you. I think that Bam came of age in these playoffs, and now everybody really respects who Bam Adebayo is. And now everybody understands why the Miami Heat made it a priority to sign him to a long-term extension a few years ago. So I do see Bam as one of the guys that can demand a $100 million contract moving forward. We're going to be in a new horizon of the NBA where they're not going to be paying guys $100 million contracts anymore. Everybody's not getting $100 million anymore. It doesn't matter if you're a high-end role player and they see some type of future for you or something of that nature. They're not going to pay overpay for that anymore. They're just not. It's just no point in doing that, because now since they expanded into having a G League, having overseas players, you don't have to worry about locking up a guy to ensure, that you have a team nucleus. The way that NBA benches are nowadays, they're just moving parts. Literally, you'll be moving guys in and out the lineup. You'll be moving guys back and forth from whatever G League affiliate that you're with in the NBA as well. So, at the end of the day, being a bench player is a very, very tough job in the NBA, and it's one that's not going to pay the big dollars that it's been paying over the last decade, because teams are smarting up and see that, we can only pay one or two guys the big dollars, and then we can pay a couple other guys in the middle, and then the rest of y'all just got to really work for your paycheck at the end of the day, because some of y'all get so complacent and so settled in with the $16 million a year deal, and you're a bench player. So, and then you're not being productive. So we'll talk more about contracts in a moment, because I do have a great topic to jump into with Saquon Barkley in a moment. But we'll get there in a moment when we talk contracts and things. But bottom line, the Heat, I love the Heat coming into the series. I still like the Heat, but I'm going to have to be a realist here. The Heat just have not shown me that they can adjust to what Denver adjusted to. Denver adjusted to whatever the Heat wanted to do in game 3. But literally, let's just keep it real. The Heat had a game that was out of this world. They played great defense that night, and they hit 17 threes in that basketball game. And they were down 13 points in that game as well, too. So we could kind of just say that Denver just kind of fell asleep at the wheel and did not take their opponent as seriously as they should have. And since that point, Denver has played them like they're the 8th seed and the Heat are the 1st seed. So they've taken care of their business, and this is why we're in the position that we're in right now. So with that, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, and it's going to be in the world of boxing. I got to talk about this because this was one of the bigger events of the weekend. It was one of the only events that we had this weekend. You got to understand, the NBA took yesterday off. They had a Friday game, but, all of us would have much rather watched that game on a Saturday possibly. You know what I mean? They had a Wednesday, Friday situation, but I thought they could have went Wednesday, Saturday for this situation, but you didn't want to kind of get in the way of what was going on Saturday, because you have other sports trying to get their shine on as well too. So I guess they were thinking that Friday night was a good night to show the NBA Finals. Always a fun night to watch the NBA Finals on a Friday, but watching the NBA Finals on a Monday, this is something that's new territory that literally started happening like 2 years ago. So let's go ahead and talk about Teofimo upsets Josh Taylor to win the WBO and Ring 140 belts in a dominant performance. What's next? Well, now they're already calling him the best of the 140 weight division, because he's beat who they call the best fighter in the 140 division. That is junior welterweight, super lightweight division, whatever you want to call it. It fits whatever characters y'all want it to fit. But 140 is a great division, but it's not a division that you make your greatest moments at. It's a great, resume builder, in my opinion. I think that a lot of people get it twisted because it's a very talented division. It's always going to be a talented division because you have guys going from 135, and then you have guys that are freaky athletes that can weigh in at 140. And then literally they're really supposed to be at 147, 154, and they're still trying to fight little dudes. You know what I mean? And thank you very much on the compliment with the haircut and everything like that. I know I'm getting my 1992 on, but it's all good. Got to get my R&B on, my Christopher Williams. So pretty much back to what I was saying though. Teofimo is a great fighter, and Teofimo is still building his legacy. And I don't think that his legacy is going to depend on who he beats up at 140. I think that Teo's greatest journey is coming at the next weight level at 147. But Teo is in a little bit of influx right now. Teo is thinking about retiring. But really, it's a negotiation tactic because T.O. is actually kind of underpaid. And for a guy that, has already won as the undisputed champion in the lightweight division, and he did this before all his peers that they said were much better. Devin Haney was undisputed, but that was a few years after Teofimo. Tank Davis has never won more than IBF or a WBA regular belt, but that doesn't take away from Tank's star power because Tank does bring butts to the seats. And then Ryan Garcia, he's did absolutely nothing but ride Tank's coattails to a big payday. That's all that is, and pretty much his act has been figured out. Then you got Shakur. Shakur is probably the elephant in the room. A lot of people are very, see him as the boogeyman in a sense. But all in all, though, he's a guy that a lot of people know that there's a low risk, there's a high risk, low reward type situation with Shakur because Shakur fights a certain way to where the fight can get one-sided, and it's not one-sided because he's a dominant fighter. It's one-sided because the way that he boxes, you know what I mean, and the way that he defends. Nothing's wrong with that. That's absolutely the way that you have to go perfect the sweet science, but it's not a appealing style of fighting. But he made up for it a little bit in his last fight in Jersey when he was able to stop the guy in, the 5th, 6th round. So pretty much you have a very good problem here. You got it to where everybody wants these guys to all fight each other. That's all they truly want. But I'm just going to tell boxing fans this before we move on to the next topic. You guys got to kind of relax. You guys just have to understand that you can be entertained. You're not the matchmaker. You're not going to be able to pick and choose who's going to fight each other. You think that your voice has a lot of say in what they're going to do. It doesn't. At the end of the day, they're telling you to shut up, sit down, and be entertained. So that's exactly what you need to do. And pretty much don't put yourself in a position to where, you're overthinking things. Like they truly did think that T.O. was going to lose this fight. And they forgot about the superb skills that Teofimo had to become the prospect of the year, to have the fight of the year, to be the 2020 fighter of the year. All that stuff that Teofimo Lopez was able to obtain. And pretty much people threw all that out the window because he had a few comments in an interview that people didn't like to hear. And then he kind of went into a situation where it got a little personal. But a lot of these athletes live in a reality show mentality. So they feel like if they keep it real with everybody, then they'll be respected a little bit more by the world because the world is always judging. They're always nitpicking, always looking at these popular figures and hoping that they're ready to crack and break so then they can have an opinion. As you guys can see, I'm not going to go deep into it, but Zion Williamson has a situation where he wound up, with a young lady who is very promiscuous, is even, gets paid to be this promiscuous. And pretty much Zion, comes out and shows that he's about to have a family with a woman who has her business taken care of and doesn't have her business in the streets. And pretty much she goes crazy and makes a total ass of herself at the end of the day. And pretty much guess who has to have something to say about that? Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, as if we need a think tank for you guys to tell us that these guys are messing up. They're not. It's really none of our business, and it's really none of our business to talk about. And this kind of pertains to what T.O. was going through as well, too. T.O. was just trying to mention to everybody the reason why I'm kind of, off the rails a little bit is because I'm running into a situation where I'm about to get divorced and I'm about to lose a lot of money. And I'm trying to get my son back, the love of his life. So that's a very personal situation, and nobody needs to really put their 2 cents on it or try to say his mental state wasn't there and all this other extra stuff that was not the case. When you're a fighter, when you're a boxer, that's the biggest motivation that you could have when you step into that squared circle. And I felt like Josh Taylor lost simply because he had the idea that he already had a victim in Teofimo. That Teofimo was just literally coming to get his payday and be out the way. But he had to understand that literally you've been a guy that's been inactive for the last 3 years. In reality, you fought 3 times in 3 years. And they toted you as the undisputed champion because you won a tournament. You know what I mean? But you never truly fought the best of the best at 140. You fought Regis. Okay, Regis is good, but Regis is a limited fighter. He's a power fighter, but that's about it. And then you look up and he beats up Ramirez, who's on the downslide of his career. Ramirez has been pretty much just taken to the woodshed. And he has a lot of mileage on him. So beating Ramirez was a great accomplishment, but it wasn't anything that was spectacular at the end of the day because Ramirez isn't a Hall of Fame type boxer. So pretty much that was a good win for him. And then he had a very controversial win against Jack Catterall. That was on his home turf. And pretty much he went ahead and took 18 months off and then comes back and really thought he was going to walk into this fight and beat Teofimo Lopez, one of the best boxers in the world, regardless of how you felt about his last performance. And pretty much Tio needed this motivation. He needed the world to tell him that it wasn't going to happen. And he went ahead and did that. And him and his father have been doing this since like day one of them promoting the Teofimo movement. And I think that the Teofimo movement really comes from the school of LeVar Ball. And you know what? And making successful sons. And that's pretty much what I see here with Teofimo Lopez, with Big T.O., Lil T.O. So, great win for T.O. I think that it was a monster win. I think him taking some time off is the right idea. You don't have to rush back into fighting anybody yet. And he does have a good point when he says that ESPN, you do need to get the dollars up because all in all, the only reason why I would want to cut to this fight on Saturday and not just go on about my Saturday night was because Teofimo Lopez and the way that he sold the fight and the way that he was able to get the attention of people by saying crazy things. It happens. You know what I mean? So pretty much with that, that's going to be a wrap. But once again, congratulations to my good friend Teofimo Lopez Jr. and to Senior Big Daddy. Well, actually, he's Teofimo the third. So Big T.O., Little T.O. So congratulations to both of those gentlemen. And I'll see you guys in Vegas soon. So pretty much we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about the Giants running back situation. Giants running back Saquon Barkley confirms he will not be taking part in the mandatory minicamp. And I say, you know what? Before I used to really be like, man, these guys just need to go to camp. They just need to go to No. The Giants aren't the Steelers, okay? They don't have the luxury to say, okay, we don't need Saquon. Because that's a bunch of BS. They know that they need Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley won them 4 of the most integral games that they had all season last year, including the first game of the season against a Titans team who was considered the favorite to win that division last year. And we're a 6.5-point favorite going into the game. I know, because I thought that the Titans were the surest lock of the weekend. What happened was that Saquon Barkley won the game on a walk-off two-pointer. Walk-off two-pointer, and told the coach, I got you. They don't get this from Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is nothing but a managing quarterback. That's it. You don't even need it. You didn't even need to pay him market value for a quarterback. You could have gave him lesser than that, and I think he would have stuck around because it's New York City. You're dealing with the biggest market in sports. So if you're Johnny Quarterback of the New York Giants, then you're going to get a whole bunch of ad dollars. You're going to get a whole bunch of sponsors. You're going to have a whole bunch of partners within the city. Why would you overpay for that, knowing that he did not deliver the way that you need him to deliver? Saquon Barkley has pretty much been the heartbeat of the Giants offense since he got to New York. It's that simple. They thought the guy was going to be a bust because they drafted him too high. Well, he wasn't. He wound up being the rookie of the year. Then he comes back around. He got hurt. Then he came back around, was better than ever after he got hurt. And has a career season. Then last year has another great season where literally if you get Saquon the ball, you're going to win the game by any points, by any means necessary. If Saquon gets his 20 carries, 20 to 25 carries, and he's moving well, and you get him out there in the let's just say his 20 to 25 touches, okay? And you get him out there in space and passing game, things of that nature. This guy is one of the more dangerous players in the NFL at the end of the day. You don't sit up there and say that we got to have a back and forth with a guy who's an absolute weapon. You know that Saquon can line up as a receiver. Saquon is a great blocking back as well, too. And he gets all the tough yards, and he can go ahead and get you a nice 60, 70-yard touchdown or 60, 70-yard scamper yard gain if you need to. And there's only so many running backs in the league that can do that. And Saquon did this with a bad line to begin with. Now they're building things up, and the line has gotten better. And it's not because of the quarterback. It's because they're blocking for a great running back. And I just don't think the Giants understand the type of player that they do have. They say that they do, but they're not showing us that. And I know the Giants don't want to be – they want to keep to the norm of what the NFL is right now. Okay, don't overpay the running back. You can't overpay the running back. You can't do that. But we can pay mediocre quarterbacks a large king's ransom to be average. But these guys, you want them to break their neck so you can pay them $5 million of incentives. That's not fair. I'm going to keep it real with you. The reason why this league is the league it is today is because the running back. The quarterback was always seen as the coach on the field, the general of the team. But the offensive weapon, the one that gets us the points, the ones that move us forward, the one that made everybody pull up and watch on Sundays was the running back. Yeah, the passing game is great. It's vertical. It speeds up the game. It's supposed to be there too. But I would say this. You could actually pay your wide receivers the same way that you pay your running backs because they're so you can bring in a it's the same deal with wide receivers and running backs both and cornerbacks. They're all interchangeable, right? No. There's guys who play the position at an elite level, and there's guys who play the position. He's a guy who plays the position at an elite level. You have to pay him elite money. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. You have to pay these guys, man, because at the end of the day, when you if you won a Super Bowl last year, Saquon was going to be the biggest reason why you won the Super Bowl last year. Were you going to sit up there and say that you can't pay him? Because at the end of the day, Isaiah Pacheco had the game of his life in the Super Bowl. You know what time it is when it's time to come get his contract and get paid in a few years? And he's still playing and he's getting better and better as every year goes. His agent will remind you guys, hey, we didn't win the Super Bowl without Isaiah's 67 yards. We didn't win the Super Bowl without Isaiah, getting that big run when they needed him to put the game right where the Chiefs needed it to be at. You guys got to start realizing who really helps these teams win these football games. quarterbacks, you guys, they give them way too much credit, and then everybody else gets blamed when you lose. But when you win, the quarterback is seen as this great being, and he did that, and he made sure we got to the end goal. No, there was 10 other guys out there with them as well too. It wasn't just the quarterback. He can't throw the ball to himself. Now they feel like since they got running quarterbacks, and I'm just gonna be a little controversy here. Since they have white running quarterbacks, they think that they can say that the running back position isn't as valuable as it used to be. It's always gonna be valuable. What are you talking about? You're always gonna need that once in a lifetime running back to really excite us. Everybody, when I was growing up as a kid, everybody used to talk about Barry Emmett all day long. And we would throw in Jerry Rice, Michael Irvin, but that was for the guys that played basketball. That was their guys. You know what I mean? They like the wide receivers and things like that. But we all like running backs, Barry Fosters, all these guys, man. So pretty much my thing is like this. You have to protect your quarterback from themselves. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts are both in a bad spot because they're seen as the primary run game for their teams. Daniel Jones literally took a lot of carries out of Saquon's hands because that was the only thing he could do is to really be that good was to run. So there's just a lot of things that we had to work on. And I would say this. The best way for everybody to be happy with these contracts and where these agents won't just rip teams off is if you guys just have everybody incentive based and make them performance based contracts. If everybody plays to their if they play to their performance, if they play to the level that demands those dollars, then pay them those dollars. But if they don't play to that level, then just move on. You get what I'm saying? Just move on. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. So Saquon Barkley, hopefully they can get this thing right. But if I'm Saquon's agent, I think we need to demand a trade because I don't think that New York really respects him in any type of way, to be honest with you. I would really like to see, and this is just a little crazy trade for me because I'm just thinking about him a little bit. And I know that they might be a player away from actually being something of feasibility. And then right down the road over here, there's going to be the Chargers. If the Chargers were willing to say, okay, we're going to give up next year's first round pick for him, we'll give you a third down the road as well, too. And then, you know what? Ask us for anything else, and we'll see what we can do. You bring Saquon in and you tell him this. You say, okay, Saquon, they already got you. We already got you locked in on this contract right now, and pretty much it's a 1-year deal. But if you do this for us, if we deliver in the Super Bowl, we'll guarantee you the money that you want, pretty much point blank. I think that's a fair deal at the end of the day. I know he wants to get paid. But he might need to do a little bit more proving to get paid. But I don't blame him. You're trying to get your money now, not later. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shapes up. But I just say that blame AP, blame all these guys for doing all this off the field stuff that makes running backs really suffer today. That's the whole thing. They're making running backs pay for the business that they've done over the years, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So with that, let's go ahead and move forward and talk about this topic in hand. And literally, I want to go to commercial, but let's go ahead and talk about it real quick. Will the Packers be able to stay relevant since moving from Aaron Rodgers? Which should be the expectation going into next season? The expectation should be what it always is in Green Bay. That is to make the playoffs, win the AFC North, and they still have a bunch of ways of making that happen. They're a very capable team. They're a very, very, I would say, above average team. When you take Rodgers off the team, they're still a really good team. They've done a good drafting over the years that nobody talks about because everybody was always talking about Aaron Rodgers. They've got a pretty good defense that has held its own at the end of the year last year that nobody talks about because they were always talking about Aaron Rodgers. So now the Packers have pretty much grabbed back their identity for the first time in 31 years. They haven't talked about anybody on this team but Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers when they talk about Packers in general. Like, they'll talk about other Packers, but literally the storyline for the last 31 years has been about the quarterback. And now this year, for the first time, the quarterback is still a part of the storyline, but the storyline now is, how good is this coach? He just missed the playoffs last year after having 2 historic seasons to start your coaching career. What do you win? 13 games in 2 years in a row. He had already won 26 games, only had lost like 6 by the time, 6 or 8 games. Last year they wind up going 7 and 9, 8, 9 or something like that. And fantasy is just, it's too early for fantasy. We have to see who gets hurt first. Let's get through training camp before we talk about fantasy. But Jordan Love could be a guy that can be a good fantasy player because he's a dual threat. He throws and he runs. And the way that the Packers offense is set up, in a sense, he could be a guy that you can get a lot of points in the fantasy game, because that's what a lot of folks have to look at in fantasy football is that, they do a lot of plug-in players, you know what I mean? And then you have to look at what that plug-in player can be like in that offense, you know what I mean? And if they use him enough and things like that. I think that Love is a good example of a guy just like Rodgers, just like Favre, who have to go ahead and prove their worth. And I think if he proves his worth within the first few games of the season, he'll have the home crowd behind him, because nobody understands this, but Green Bay is the one place where you can't piss the home crowd off as the quarterback or as any star player or as any lead player, because you'll be out of town fairly quickly, because they do own parts of the team. You actually playing in front of your owners for real, for real. So, with that, I truly do feel that, the Packers do have a very strong chance to win the North this year, because they are seeking their own identity without having to always have all the credit going to Aaron Rodgers or all the blame going to the head coach when Aaron Rodgers messes up the game. You know what I mean? So now all that's over with, that's done with. They've been free. And they just been free. And they've been freed, and it is what it is at the end of the day. But yeah, man, it's always cool to talk about fantasy. It's just you kind of caught me off guard with that one, because I'm like, man, I don't know, because I'm thinking about fantasy tough myself right now, and I'm like, Jordan Love could be a candidate as a backup quarterback, because you got to, you don't start him. You see what he's about. You see what he can do. And then possibly you could catch him on a good week, like against the Lions or the Bears or the Vikings or, some team that has a really bad defense. And then you can say, okay, maybe we can come up and get some points off of this one. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot of really, really good things going on with fantasy right now. But it's just really tough with fantasy because you got to wait for the preseason to be kind of over with. You got to wait for training camp to be over with, because you got to see who's going to be hurt. And these guys who are hurt can be guys that were going to be vital parts to the roster that you tried to put together. But we got to deal with the draft as well, too. So when you're dealing with the draft situation, you have to understand that, you might have a guy in mind that you really, really love, but you got to hope that somebody ahead of you doesn't draft that guy, or you take the guy that you need at the moment and then tell yourself, well, my guy should be there in the next round. And then he winds up not being there in the next round because you waited too long. If you want that play, I figured it out last year. If you want that player, you take that player right then and there on the spot. It doesn't matter about how they rank the player and do all that other extra stuff. You got to think like how they think in the NFL. If the player fits what you need to do, and you know that's where you got to get the player at, that's where you get the player at. So, I was fortunate enough to get Josh Allen, Devontae Adams in the first 2 picks. And then I got a little tricky after that. I went and got I got guys like I had Kareem Hunt. I had Travis Etienne as well too. Travis Etienne was high on my list. I also went ahead and got Miles Sanders last year as well too. And I was really happy when I was able to get I was really happy when I was able to get Brandon Cooks, but Brandon Cooks wound up not being that good. Well, it wasn't that he wasn't that good last year, it was that his quarterback wasn't good. So I didn't get the same numbers, but I keep it real. Amon St. Brown was the reason why I won my championship. It's that simple, dog. Like, literally, that's the whole reasoning for winning that championship was him. Because that guy showed up week in and week out. And then also having Jamal Williams as well, too, being a touchdown, leading the league in touchdowns. And I drafted Jamal Williams in the 12th round, dog. And I couldn't believe he was still there. And I just was like, and I understood that, the guy does score. They always are putting him in the goal line situation to score touchdowns. When that pops off in your head, that's the guy that you need to have. But all in all, I'm going to say this before I move forward. And I'm going to just say this. I think that there's 5 players out there that should be at the top of everybody's list that are going to be fantasy impacts that weren't big names going into the year. If you say rookie quarterback, I would say possibly everybody's probably going to pick on CJ Stroud, and everybody's probably going to pick on Bryce. But if he does start right away, I think Anthony Richardson might be the guy that can be your big fantasy guy because he has receivers. He has Michael Pittman Jr. over there, and then he also has Franklin in the backfield with him, and then he does have the run dynamic as well too. He's the type of guy that will take off for a 50, 60-yard scamper. So you will probably get the Justin Fields effect with him, but he'll probably be able to get off more passes than Justin Fields because he actually has a wide receiver weapon in Michael Pittman Jr. Then when it comes to the running back position, it's really easy for me. Isaiah Pacheco. I think if Isaiah Pacheco gets 10 to 15 carries a game, minimum, that he should be a guy that can get you 80 to 100 yards per game. The guy runs so well. And then when you look at his college tape and you look at his NFL tape, nothing really changes with the guy. He's really all effort, and he's just really a really, really great player. Chris Olave, since he has Derek Carr there to throw him footballs, he should have himself a career year. That's straight up. And also Michael Pitts from Atlanta. He's going to have Ritter there, and Ritter's going to need to have a real target, and it's going to be Pitts next season. So I think Pitts is on his way to actually living up to the big hype that it was given to him. And then also, I will say this. The last player that I have on the list is going to be kind of tricky, but it's going to be somebody that should be big. Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan Robinson is going to be, other than Pitts, I think Bijan Robinson is going to be just like how Saquon is in New York. He's going to be the heartbeat of your offense. And I think that Atlanta, believe it or not, really does have some of the best offensive weapons, young weapons going into this season, and they're in a very winnable division. So there's a lot of things to be excited about if you are an Atlanta fan, because Atlanta really did play 80% of their games with full-on effort, and their games could have went either way. And there's a lot of games that they could have won that would have put them in the playoffs last year. So there's a lot that can be done. So pretty much, wow. So you're already doing, so your league is already drafted? Oh, I got to figure that out. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and take another quick break. Well, we haven't took a first break, so we're gonna take a quick break right now. When I get back, we'll jump into Blue Crew Daily with some Thursday baseball, some Monday night baseball. We on Monday. I'm over here talk about Thursday. But yeah, we're gonna talk some we're gonna talk some baseball, Monday night baseball, and then we'll get into talking tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And you know what? I just want to make a quick announcement. That book that I have for you guys, I am no longer doing anything with them. They decided to move on or whatever they want to do. But you know how those books are, bro. You know, what you got pretty much they're trying to get as many people as possible and things like that. And it's a good book. They pay you out daily, things like that. They just trying to get as many people as possible. I kind of didn't like the pushiness of, you know, bringing in people without knowing exactly what type of book that was. So pretty much we had to go ahead and end that partnership. But we'll be back with Bet Us next month, since I already pretty much leased out the month to them. So I just wanted to make that announcement. So you don't have to go to that website, put in Pop New and all that stuff, because pretty much won't work. You know what I mean? I just got to let you guys know that right now. So then there's no confusion, because that's what I was trying to get them to understand. It's a residual factor. You know, a lot of people will might not pull up the first week I'm advertising something, but they'll still eventually start getting into it. But it's all good. It's really all good at the end of the day. Because you know what? We got ourselves some baseball to talk about. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into Blue Crew Daily. Blue Crew Daily, I'm looking at right now. Dodgers dropped 4 out of 6 on the road, losing both series during the road trip. So it just really sucks. The Dodgers got whooped yesterday, and they almost won on Friday. So, you know, they should have swept the Reds. Let's keep it real. The Reds came back 6 runs down in both of those games and won on walk-offs. In reality, the Dodgers don't lose those games. So the Dodgers pretty much set themselves back with the going 4 out of 6, losing 4 out of 6 this week, because now they're 3 games behind Arizona. Now Arizona can build some confidence because now they have some breathing space. And the Dodgers are over here not panicking, but they're trying to figure out what exactly is going to work. And right now, the Dodgers have overtaxed their bullpen. Let's just keep it real. And the Dodgers don't have the type of starting rotation that really, you know, makes you feel comfortable past Clayton Kershaw and Tony Gonsolin. Okay. Everybody else is a little shaky. Urias is coming back. We'll give him a few games to get back into his normal form. He was good the first 3 games. Then he kind of ran into some trouble the next 3 games after that. May is probably going to be done for the season, but Bueller is a possibility to come back in August. So you still got Bueller in place. And then you have Ryan Pepio getting himself together down at the farm. And so you now really look up and you say to yourself, what do we have? We have Bobby Miller. Bobby Miller is a hell of a pitcher, and he's a guy that I truly do feel like is going to be the next really great right-hander in the Dodgers lineage. And then you also have Gavin Stone, who's kind of going through the motions a little bit, but he's going to get it together. He'll be good. Mark Pryor will work with him on everything that he needs to work with him on. He just needs to stop being nervous and pitch. I seen some good things out of Gavin Stone. He just needs to go out there and pitch. It's that simple. But the Dodgers can possibly just go ahead and have their starters are going to do what they do. But what they really truly need is they need to have a middle relief and some more middle relief. They really need guys in that bullpen that are going to be able to be stoppers. Andre Jackson, not really a good pitcher. Even though he pitched 3 innings the other day and struck out 3, he's a guy that is an iffy pitcher. Also, you have Vezia, who's been pitching a little bit better, but still, we all still kind of be like, well, hopefully he doesn't get back to being old Vezia. And you just have a lot of things with the Dodgers that you just want them to be better at. You know what I mean? And you want them you want everybody to really realize that it's still a long season, and the Dodgers got plenty of time, but they're gonna need more from Grady All. They're going to need more from guys like Victor Gonzalez. They're going to need more from Caleb Ferguson. Like, they're really having a real issue when it comes to the closer. They need to figure out who the closer is going to be. So we have a lot of really good things to get ourselves ready for. So pretty much, it is what it is at the end of the day. So with that, we'll move forward, but the Dodgers do have a homestand coming up this week. They have the White Sox, and the White Sox, they have the White Sox for the next 3 games starting tomorrow. And then we start the grand old San Francisco series on Friday. That runs through Sunday. And then the Dodgers have a 2-game jaunt with the Angels next week on the 20th and the 21st. So that's going to be the Dodgers' next 8 games. For the season. So pretty much for June. But right now the Dodgers need to get it together. The Dodgers losing 4 out of 6, but they've also went ahead and lost their last 6 out of 8. They've actually lost 6 out of 9 this month. So the Dodgers really need to get on the good foot. But, this is a team that hasn't got a lot of breaks lately either. So, they could be a little tired. Like, I keep trying to just get people to understand. So it is what it is. All right. So let's move on and talk about MLB Monday Night real quick. And I got to talk about it quickly because we are kind of running behind on time with the show. So MLB Monday Night, we got a good Monday night coming. We have some really we got 8 games tonight. All the started series, no end series. Ending up first is the World Series from a few years back between the Rockies and the Red Sox. Well, about 12 years back, I would say, right? Well, now everything's in the 2010s. This was in the 2000s, so it was probably almost like 15 years ago. So the Rockies, with their one lone World Series, played against the Red Sox. They got swept. Everybody remembers. But the Rockies had one of the funner runs to the World Series that you'll ever see from a team, especially a team in their phase of history, because they really have never had that much success in Colorado. Like, they've been able to supply some of the best hitters to ever play the game, but they have never been able to supply an actual winning team. Now, they had moments, but the Rockies, you can just look at the Rockies name. You can look at everything when it comes to them and just say that, yeah, I understand why they don't have much of a tradition here. Then you got the Red Sox. The Red Sox are always seen as the rival to the Yankees. So they think just like the Yankees. It's about winning World Series and beating the Yankees. That's what all our seasons matter about. But right now, you have a Red Sox team that's over here floating above 500 to be exact, and they're in last place just like they were last year. But for them, they play in a division where everybody has a winning record, so it's not that bad. So at the end of the day, the Red Sox just got to keep building and trying to win games. But in this spot tonight, I would say this is going to be a really good spot for James Paxton to go out there and just pitch it up real quick. The Rockies did bring up a nice prospect the other day who was able to get them a good win over the Padres. But I think with the quick travel to Boston tonight and the jet lag, I think when it comes down to it, the Red Sox wind up getting themselves a nice victory tonight. So I got the Red Sox winning this game by 2 or more runs. I'm taking them with the run line tonight on the 1.5. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. Let's go ahead and get into the Angels and the Rangers. The Angels and Rangers coming in here both are sitting on some pretty good records as they come in here. The Angels had won 5 in a row at one point. The Rangers had won about 6 in a row at one point this month. So they're coming in here. Both these teams are really hot. The Angels are playing probably their best baseball at this time of the year in the last few years. And they are really inspired from what I've seen. I think that, Shohei and Mike Trout, playing in the WBC early in the season was a very good message to the rest of their teammates that, we are 2 of the best players in the world. And we just got done playing against each other and we play with each other. And so the light bulb cuts on for the rest of the guys that play with them. Hey, we got 2 of the best players in the world. Why we keep on playing like this? Let's step up our game. And that's exactly what the Angels have done. And that's why I keep saying the Rangers and the Astros need to watch their back, because the Angels could get into a whole bunch of feel good this summer. And then next thing you know, it's Angels in the outfield too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But tonight you got Tyler Anderson on the mound for the Angels. And then you got Dane Dunning on the mound for the Rangers. This is going to be a really good game tonight. But from what I can see here, I think what happens is that we wind up playing we're going to go ahead and play the under in this spot, because both these teams are coming in here hot. Both of them playing really good baseball. So that's always the angle that I like to take. So pretty much with that, that's where we're going with that one. All right, we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about our late game, and this is going to be the Rays going against none other than the red hot Oakland A's, who have won 5 games in a row to move their record to 17-50. Just think, a few weeks ago, they were 10-45, and I talked about that on the show. So since then, they went 7-5. So that's pretty good. I would say that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And 5-5, actually. I'm sorry, 5-5. So they had lost 5 in a row. Now they've won 5 in a row. So, the Rays are going to be just like the Brewers were this weekend. A constant overbet. Everybody was on Brewers 1.5 all weekend, because everybody had this idea, okay, it's the A's. They've been getting cooked. They'll lose. Not really understand the A's had just won their last series against the Pirates. So they took 2 out of 3 against the Pirates. They go to Milwaukee, and then they sweep. And so pretty much you win 5 out of 6 against National League competition because they didn't take you seriously. And that's a lot of times, that's where a lot of Oakland's wins have been coming from this season. When you look at Oakland's wins, most of them are against the National League. So pretty much, they have that working in their favor. But they also have a pretty good record against some of the best teams in the league as well, too. And I think that the Rays, who did sweep them a month or so ago, but that's because the Rays were on a nice run to start the year. So pretty much, they're still on that run. Pretty much where I go with this one is this. I say that tonight, let's go ahead and bet on the A's, just because they need somebody to have they back tonight. So I'm going to take the A's as my dog of the day for about the 15th time this season. Literally, they could be the dog of the day every day. But I'm going to take them again as the dog of the day. And hopefully they go ahead and get us the dollars today. It's going to be a plus 210. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. And we move forward from there. All right. So pretty much. Let's go ahead. I'm not going to take another commercial. We're going to go ahead and jump right into Talkin Tickets. So you guys, real quick, make sure that you guys are watching this very closely because it won't be on here for long. So we have the MLB PrimeTime PK4, 19-1 today. We got the under 9 with the Braves and the Tigers. That should be good. We also have the 1.5 with the Red Sox, minus 130 today. Also, the under 9.5 with the Angels and the Rangers. And then we have the A's plus 210 as our dog of the day. That's going to give us a 19-1 PK4. And that is a pretty good PK4 when you can get it at damn near 20-1. All right, so here we are. Let's go ahead. NBA Finals, Game 5 bets. I think that the Nuggets absolutely destroy the Heat tonight. And I know I took the Heat in 7, and I'll probably be the happiest camper if they are able to win this game tonight, the Heat. But you know what? It's a long shot, man. It's a real long shot. And if like Jokic got hurt or something like that, I would say, hey, we got a chance. If Murray or somebody got hurt, we got a chance. But I don't see any of those guys getting hurt, and I think that we're going to have a big coronation in Denver tonight. Straight up, I don't think Denver is going to leave anything out there for anybody to criticize, pretty much point blank. But the Lakers were in the same position back in 2020 against the Miami Heat team and found themselves losing Game 5. So hopefully they don't catch the same wrath as the Lakers did a few years back in the bubble. But I have the Nuggets win this game by 10 or better. Then I have this game going over 209.5 as well, too. And so instead of doing a first quarter bet, we're only going to do a first half bet tonight. And I say that the Heat are going to fight in the first half. I say that. They'll fight in the first half. We'll take the +5 so it doesn't look like we just one-siding it to the Nuggets. But I think, though, when we get in the second half, the Nuggets will take control of the game, go on a nice little long run, and that will be all she wrote. I also have the Nuggets with the -15 alternate line. Yeah, I know. I know, but I got to make up for UConn, because UConn, I want to put UConn up. I guarantee the UConn by dub or better. Everybody's like, I don't know, Bob. And then they wind up winning the game by 25 points. And I had already called it for you guys. I did it in the Gonzaga game as well, too. And so pretty much when it came down to the national championship, I actually added in a 9.5. That's what I put my number as, and I got a plus 190 that day. So today I'm going to do a 2-1 Nuggets by 15 or better. So I'm hoping that the Nuggets do win this game by a lot of points if they're going to win this game. And then I got the Nuggets going over 109 team total as well. And then also I got the Nuggets winning this game by 20 points. They have to win by 20 points, not around 20 points. They have to win by 20 points, and we cash a 35-1 ticket. So if they get to the 20-point mark with 90 seconds left, just hold the ball. Everybody, just hold the ball so we can start the celebration. All right, so with that, I'm pretty much saying that the Denver Nuggets are going to be the world champions tonight. And if not, that just gives us some more basketball to talk about in the coming days. But all in all, that's going to be my show for today. And I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in. And you guys are the absolute best with me. Without you, there is no me. So pretty much with that, you guys already know, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. And this is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. And I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.